Now we're going to be doing our adaptation unit, and what we're going to be talking about today is how things can adapt one way or the other. And what I mean by that is this. We're going to talk about pathogens. Pathogens are microscopic organisms that can spread throughout humans, monkeys, birds, pigs, whatever kind of animal. And sometimes a person can be immune to the pathogen, and sometimes the pathogen can mutate, causing someone who was once immune to be no longer immune. So when we think about pathogens, we're thinking about things like viruses, bacterias, and funguses, or fungi. Now, some of the more famous pathogens are things like the flu. Flu changes all the time. Way back in the 1900s, the early 1900s, there was a flu epidemic that actually took out 1/4 of the entire population of the world. It's actually one of the worst epidemics ever. It's actually known as a pandemic. So you gotta be very, very careful with mutating viruses or mutating bacteria or mutating fungus. If we don't think about how to stop it or how to change medicine, bad things can happen to us. What we're gonna do today is something a little bit more topical in a fun way. We're going to demonstrate how a zombie virus could spread throughout a classroom very easily. Now, when we're talking about pathogens, there's different ways pathogens can spread. They can spread through touch. They can spread through fluids. They can spread through the air. We're going to look at it in the sense of spreading through a fluid. Okay, so everyone drinks out of the same cup of water. They're all going to get the pathogen. Everyone coughs on each other, they're going to get the same pathogen. Now, you're going to have to set this up beforehand because only one of these cups has the pathogen. I'm not going to tell you which one mine is yet. We're going to see how this works out, but I know which one has the pathogen in it. If you notice, the cups all have a clear liquid inside of them. When you start to spread out these cups to your students, don't let them drink it, don't let them smell it. It'll be a dead giveaway, which is which. Each kid's also going to get one of these, a pipette. And the very simple thing that's going to happen here is they're going to take their pipette, they're going to dip it inside whatever cup they have, and they're going to put some of their liquid into someone else's cup. Okay? So it's going to be from their cup to another cup. And the most they can do is 3. All right? So the whole point of this is to figure out where did the pathogen come from? Who started it? Who was the first person to have this disease that turns everyone into zombies? So you have to take notes while you're doing this. So as the students are putting their liquids into other students' cups, they have to note that they put their liquid into Susie's cup, Mario's cup, Antoine's cup, whoever it may be. Okay? So make sure they take note of it. That way, they can start to look at it and say, well, I took it from Antoine's cup, I took it from Susie's cup, and I didn't get the pathogen. But I took it from Mario's cup, and I did. Okay? So make sure they take notes. Again, only 3 times can they spread it around. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to spread it around. We'll just get in close with that and show you what's going on. And then we're going to show you what happens when you have the pathogen or when you do not have the pathogen. Okay, so let's look at how it's going to be done, and then we'll get back to you afterwards. As you can see, 3 different times for each cup, all in different random places. Now this is how you're going to know whether or not you have the zombie virus. You're going to use this stuff right here. It's called bromothymol blue. You're going to put a few drops in each one. If it turns blue, guess what? You don't have the virus. If it turns yellow, you do have the virus. And then from there, that's what we would trace back. Now, for the purposes of this, it was very difficult for me to sit there and say this one went to this one, this one went to this one, this one went to this one. But I'll show you which one had the zombie virus in it at the end, and then maybe we can trace it back that way. Okay? So remember, if it's blue, it is no zombie virus. If it's yellow, it is zombie virus. Let's see if we can get in closer for that to see it better. All right. So you can see 4 of them turned yellow. If you start to mix them up a little bit, you can see like the ones that sort of look green, they probably might have gotten a little bit of it, but not enough to go through. But then there's definitely ones that are blue, and there's definitely ones that are yellow. And you gotta watch out for those definite ones that are yellow. So that's what you can sort of do with this one, is you can think about, okay, you've got yellow ones here. This one's yellow, this one's yellow, this one's yellow, this one's yellow. Those are 4 people who definitely have the zombie virus over here. These people have it. So you could separate these 4 kids, okay? These green ones, or these sort of paler blue ones, you can say are some people who might be carrying it, but they don't actually become zombies. It's not very, very clear whether or not. And you have these blue ones here. These are people who definitely don't have it. That's when you can start to trace everything back. You can start to think about, okay, what's going on here? Who took from who, and how did this one become yellow, this one become sort of greenish, and this one become sort of bluish, okay? So really think about it, look at the notes the kids make, and think about who could have been doing what to who to make sure they got this. Now, this bromothil blue, it is an indicator for acid. What do I mean by that, an indicator for acid? Well, when you mix this with acid, it turns it yellow. So obviously the ones that turn yellow have some acid in them. That's because one of the cups has vinegar inside of it. That's the one you have to keep track of. So when you're doing this, you need to make sure you know which ones are the waters and which single cup, 1 cup, is the actual vinegar. That's another reason why you don't also want anyone to smell it, because if one kid has vinegar and they smell it and they say like, oh, this smells like vinegar, you give away the whole thing, okay? So it's really, really important for you to make sure that you separate these kids out into little groups and randomly hand them the water, and then make sure you remember which kid gets the vinegar, and then have them start right away mixing their fluids around. So this is a really cool lesson that's showing you a couple of different things, like how things spread, how to trace back how something spreads, and actually how chemistry can work to help you figure out a way of knowing who has what and who doesn't have what. All right, so the adaptation here again would be, some people are not going to get the virus because they didn't get exposed to it. Some people will get the virus because they did get exposed to it. And then there's these unsure people over here who may or may not have the virus, or have a way of fighting off the virus and not become completely zombie-like. Okay, so there we go. That's our adaptation for the day. We'll see you next time. Thanks a lot, everybody.